Stop talking about comic books or I'll kill you. I don't care if the Hulk could defeat the Man of Steel.
Hey there, comic fam. Bullseye Bob here, and welcome to Everything Comics. And of course, this is the 25th episode of Having Comics with My Coffee. This is the show where I get together with you at a local coffee shop here in Portland, drink some great coffee, and talk about the comic books that I read this week. And of course, this is the comics that came out for New Comic Book Day. It has returned, folks. So happy for that. It was released this last Wednesday on the 20th. And I have just been so excited for New Comic Day to come back. And we are finally here, folks. Diamond has started distributing. Stores are opening up. It's like springtime, man, and I can't wait. So, of course, I'm here live and in living color from the Refuge Coffee House, which is at 9217 Southeast Foster Road, here in sunny Portland. It's actually not sunny today. It's actually kind of raining. It was sunny yesterday, though, which was pretty awesome. And but like I said, this is the Refuge Coffee House, and it is the official coffee house of Everything Comics. And I love to come here and hang out, talk comic books, hang out with you, drink some coffee, and it's just a great place to be. If you're ever in town, let me know that you're going to be here. We'll meet here. We'll talk about comic books. We'll have some coffee together. Talk about whatever you want. But it'll be a fun time. By the way, I've mentioned in a couple of the last videos, they have swag on their website. I'll put a link down in the description. Go check it out. They got coffee for sale. They got shirts, hats, all kinds of stuff. All of it goes towards helping them keep the lights on and stay open during this time. I know the reopenings are starting to loosen up, but that doesn't mean places still need help, that they don't need help. And so check it out if you could. I'd appreciate that. So I do have a couple of announcements, but before we do that, let's talk about the coffee we're drinking this week. This time I've got myself a wonderful pour over. I haven't had a pour over for a while, and I did this one because this is a new Ugandan coffee that is actually really good, really rich. It's a darker roast, but oh my gosh, the flavors that are coming off it are just so well done. Hats off to the Refuge. These pour overs are great, and this Ugandan coffee is really good. Yes. So on to the announcements. So not that long ago, matter of fact, last month we had a live stream that included a lot of my great friends. We had Bueller from Comics with Bueller, you had Dylan from Dylan's Comics, Robbie from Pop Culture Philosophers, and you had Will the Beast from Hero and the Kid. And we did a battle draft 2020 of the X-Men. It was a fun show. We made up our own X-Men teams, and we're going to be doing the same thing this Thursday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Definitely, you got to be there. We're doing another battle draft 2020, and this time we're going to do the Avengers. And it's going to be crazy because we're opening it up for any comic book characters that have ever been created to be part of whatever Avengers teams we create. And the lineup will be the same. We'll have myself, Bueller, Dylan, Robbie, and Will, but also this time we're going to have Sean, the hero himself, will be there. And so it's going to be a lot of fun. How does this all play out? Well, we need you to be there because it's your votes in the chat that lets us know who has the edge, who's won, who has the best team. And so show up 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Thursday, my channel, Battle Draft 2020, the Avengers. Be there, be square, folks. It's going to be awesome. Next, as you know, I'm on another show. I'm on the Comics with Bueller channel and on the Coffee and Comic show. And it's just, again, you guys know it's my favorite part of the week. This last week, it actually just dropped this morning. The Coffee and Comic show, the subject for this week was Diamond distributors. Is it good just to have one distributor? And we had a pretty in-depth discussion about it. These discussions are some of my favorite times with my buddy Bueller, and definitely want to go over there and check it out. This week's question will be posed on this week's preview video, which he'll drop on Tuesday. Actually, wait, he drops it on Wednesday on New Comic Book Day for the books that are being released the following week. But the question for next week's video will be on that preview video, and you want to check that out and leave a comment, because that's what drives our conversations. Next announcement, and this one is a big one, also on the Comics with Bueller channel. This next Friday night, special guest, he's going to be interviewing one of my favorite artists. He's going to interview Shannon Muir. Oh my gosh, that's right. And guess what? I get to be a part of the interview. He's invited me to come in just for a little while and ask him some questions as well. I'm so excited about this. As you know, Shannon Muir is one of my favorite cover artists. I just love his use of color. It's so vibrant, and the images that he does are so lifelike. I just love his stuff. And it'll be this Friday night. I don't know the actual time. Definitely check out Bueller's channel. I think it'll probably be somewhere between 5 and 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But you don't want to miss it. I know I'm not going to miss it. I wouldn't miss an opportunity to be able to sit with the great Shannon Muir. Check it out, Comics with Bueller, this Friday night. And then the last one, my last announcement, I want to give a huge shout out to Will from Hero and the Kid. He has been killing it with his Sunday sit-downs, with his interviews. And this Saturday, folks, he has his first sit-down interview with a creator. That's right, folks. He has the great Ryan Stegman from Marvel Comics. Oh my gosh, the kid landed a whale. And it's just so, I'm so proud of him. Definitely check it out this Saturday. I don't know the actual time. I don't think that's actually been announced yet. But Will's going to interview Ryan Stegman, and that is just so awesome. You know, he keeps going like this. He's going to be the next Sean Evans of the comic book world. I'm telling you right now. Will, love you, man. You're doing awesome. All right, folks, that's my announcements. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. And before we get into our reviews, I have my cover of the week. And this week's cover of the week comes from Plunge issue number 3, and it's the B cover. And there was a lot of great covers this week. There's so many of them I could have picked from, but for some reason, this image just struck me. I love the creepiness that's conveyed. I love the way the water that he's basically wading through. There's a glow to the item he's holding on his chest. There's a ghostly glow next to his face. In the background, you have a lot of the shadowed characters in the background, you know, behind dead trees. All of it creepily backlit. I think it's just an amazing image, and it really struck me, and so that's my cover of the week, Plunge number 3, cover B. Check that one out, folks. Okay, so here we go with the reviews. Our first book this week is Dollhouse Family number 6. This one is, of course, DC Black Label. This is the Hill House line of comics that are all the horror comics that have been coming out. I've just been loving those comics. This one is written by M.R. Carey. There's a dual, there's an artist duo on this one with Peter Gross and Vince Locke. And this is a very hard book to review, folks, without giving everything away. What I can say is that Carey definitely lands the plane in this final book. If you haven't been on the ride, it's been a wild one. It's been an awesome one. There has been moments of complete creepiness with, I mean, just absolute masterful writing. There's a complete macabreness going. It's just so well done, all revolving around this dollhouse. There's things from the past that come into play, and it all interconnects. And I was not prepared for what the actual explanation of what the dollhouse was until this book. I wasn't expecting it. I thought it was masterfully written. It's definitely, if you have not been reading this book, I would suggest picking up the trade. They're going to collect it in a trade, all 6 issues, or the floppies are still available if you can get them from your LCS. I would definitely hop on this book. It was a lot of fun, a wild ride, definitely out there. Really great elements of horror mixed with this kind of, there's like a Victorian feeling to it, mixed with modern stuff, and it's kind of, like I said, it's kind of hard to explain without giving the whole story away. But I will say that the final book makes it all worth it. He definitely lands the plane. I had so much fun reading this last issue. And then after I was done, I went back through and just looked at the artwork and the images, and at all of the things that it evoked as I was reading it, and it's just really well done. So I can't praise it enough. There you go. DC Black Label, Dollhouse Family number 6. Definitely check that one out, folks. Okay, on to our next book, and it's another DC Black Label Hill House comic, and that is The Plunge, issue number 3. Now this one is written by Joe Hill himself. Art is by Stuart Immonen, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Now, I have been loving this DC Black Label stuff. I've said that before, that out of all the books that have come out so far in the line, I really feel that The Plunge has been my favorite. That's kind of been edged out this week by what happened inside of book 6 in the Dollhouse Family. I'd have to say that total story has been my favorite so far, but we'll see what happens. We're only on issue 3 of this, and so far it's been really well done. Issue 3 is a solid read. We are left, we're picking up where the last issue left off. Last issue we had a bunch of undead dudes coming out of the woodworks, and it was all going to break loose. And that's kind of where we pick up in this particular piece. We're faced with all these undead guys coming out, and we're starting to find out that they may not be so undead, true to how Joe's dad is, the great Stephen King. Often he wrote a lot of horror elements that were actually more like science fiction or alien elements that had the guise of supernatural or horror, and like all of It. And anyway, but bottom line is that's what we're kind of finding out inside of this, is that these undead guys, or what appears to be undead guys, are driven by what seems to be a math equation of all things. I don't know if this maybe is his attempt at creating the anti-life equation his own way, but it's whatever it is, it's a lot of fun, and I'm on board with it. There's still a lot of questions to be answered, but I really think this was a very solid read. A lot of fun, and the artwork inside of it by Immonen, the way he uses shadow is very subtle. It really conveys a creepiness all of its own, and really enjoyed that. Of course, Hill's dialogue and his writing, you can't beat it. Ever since the first book, it's really kept you right there with the characters, with the story. It really moves along solidly, and I can't praise that enough. So I'm really interested to see where the story goes. I am so on board. Issue 4 comes out next month. Hope you're reading this one, folks. It's really good. And then we come to our third book, and that's Ludicrous, issue number 1 from Image Comics. I don't even know what to say about this book. It was so wacky, it was so zany, it was so out there. This one is written by Karen Gillan and Jim Rossignol. I've never heard of Jim Rossignol, but they duo paired on this book. And artwork is by Jeff Stokely. I don't think anything could have prepared me for what I found inside of this book. I love Karen Gillan's writing. I mean, that's no secret. I mean, especially his very last couple of books that he's done, Die and Once and Future. I mean, that's just 2 of the examples that have come out recently. I love Karen Gillan's writing, and I actually got to meet him last year at Emerald City Comic Con. He was an awesome guy, very personable, and got to talk to him for quite a few minutes. And yeah, I mean, just a really great guy. But this, to say that it's satirical, bombastic, over the top, out of bounds, way out in left field, is an understatement. This book was just, I mean, crazy. I mean, when I first started reading it, I must have put it down 3 times because I just couldn't catch the vibe. I couldn't catch the tone. It was that far out there until I picked it up and read it as if it was a stage play done in complete over-the-top melodrama. Then I started catching the vibe of the book, and I was able to read it a lot easier. The book is basically about aristocrats who are completely ludicrous. There are political overtones. There is satire. There is anything that you can think of that it was just completely batshit crazy. That's what you're going to find inside of this book. I get the feeling that Gillen needed to take a break from the more serious stuff and just go crazy with something, let loose and have some fun, and linguistically, just lay it out there and just see where it lays. And I'll have to tell you that I guarantee you there is an audience out there for this that are going to love it, absolutely love it. I am not going to ding this book because I don't think it's dingable, but I will say that I probably won't be one of those audience. It's just not my cup of tea. But I will have to say that what I did read, I would say that it's very well done. If you are in for that type of thing, I think it's going to be a real treat for you. It is so out there, so over the top. I don't even have anything to compare it to. You'll have to go and definitely check it out for yourself. I'll put a couple of images up and just so you can see it, and maybe that'll strike you. But Ludicrous, #1. Probably won't be picking this up going forward, but I would definitely say try it out for yourself and let me know what you think. So the next book is Deceased Unkillables, issue #3. This is, of course, written by Tom Taylor, who was one of my favorite writers that are out there right now, and art's done by Carl Mostert. Now, I think Tom Taylor has done such a masterful job at the whole DC storyline. I was so afraid when they first announced the book that it was just basically pumping out a zombie book just because Marvel had done it. And but I got to tell you, I was so pleasantly surprised by how well done this whole story is. It surpassed my expectations, and that's always a good thing. So this story takes place during the same time frame as the original Deceased storyline, except this time we're focused in on a bunch of villains and anti-heroes rather than all the heroes that we saw die. And the special thing about these particular villains and anti-heroes is they each have something that makes them kind of either immune to the anti-life equation, or they have some type of power that negates them getting becoming zombieized. And so that's why they're called unkillables, which is kind of misleading because they can get killed, but I think it's a great kind of take in the same time frame that this whole DC storyline took place to do this in. The last issue we ended up with Mirror Master coming in and shattering their whole worlds and allowing the possibility of the zombie-eyes Wonder Woman to find them. And that's where we're at. Zombie-eyes Wonder Woman comes and the chase is on. And from there, the action, it just gets so outrageous, it's pretty awesome. From beginning to end, it keeps you on this pace. It's a lot of fun. The action is really well drawn. I'm not a huge fan of Mostert's artwork. I think that there's some overtones to it that reminds me of the old Underground comics, and for some reason that doesn't feel as professional as what I have come to know modern comics to be. But the way this guy draws action, there's a fluidity to it. It puts you right in the middle of what's going on, and I love it. So I'm not going to say it's bad artwork. Most of it's just not my cup of tea. But the action, his camera angles, and like I said, the way he dictates motion inside of the panels, so well done. And I think it works for this storyline as well. That underground feel kind of gives the piece of it that's zombieized, I guess, that kind of really brings that together. So I guess it does work more than I'm giving it credit for. So basically, we get zombieized Wonder Woman in all her glory. And we get more deaths of, the heroes throughout the story. And then it just ends very nicely. I'm not going to tell you how it ends because I think definitely pick it up for yourself. Definitely check it out. It's worth the read from beginning to end. We get some things that I never thought that I would see out of a book like this. There's some deaths that basically happened that was like, are you kidding me? In the way that they happened. And the star of the show, for some reason for me, was Solomon Grundy. And I don't think I've ever said that before, but Solomon Grundy inside of this book was glorious. Loved it. And he was just a lot of fun in this issue. The writing is great. The artwork really works. Matter of fact, my panel of the week comes from this artwork, so you'll definitely be able to see that a little bit later. If you haven't been reading Deceased Unkillables, I would definitely say this is a must read, especially if you've read the first 6 issues of Deceased. And but he lands the plane in this, and I really hope, I don't know, maybe he just keeps this contained and never does Deceased again. I'd love to see another story going on, but we'll see what happens. Masterfully done. Definitely check it out. Deceased Unkillable #3. Awesome stuff. And now we come to my pick of the week, folks. And this week's pick of the week is issue #1 of Year Zero by AWA Upshot Comics. This is written by Benjamin Percy. You'll recognize that name. He's been writing on the new Wolverine series. Art is done by Ramon Rosanes, and the colors are done by Lee Lowridge. And you know me, whenever I mention who the colorist is, that means it really stuck out with me. So these new books that are coming out from AWA Upshot have really caught my attention. So far we've had 5 to 6 books come out from them, and for the most part they've been pretty solid reads. They're putting out some really quality stuff. I would say that if you're not reading that stuff right now, definitely hop on it, because if they keep putting out quality work like that, I have a feeling that a lot of people are going to be jumping on board. This is a good time to jump on board for yourself. Having said that, with the quality work that we've been seeing, this book I think is a cut above. I really enjoyed this issue. It was a solid first issue. I would even go on to say that it's even masterful. That's how good it was. Now, there have been many books written about zombie apocalypse stories, and so there's nothing new there. But this one is starting off a little bit different than most. We're not seeing how the whole thing started. We're not actually even seeing most of this. I don't think we even see a zombie inside of the book. But what we do see are people from different parts of the world who are trying to puzzle out what's going on. We know that the great minds of the world have kind of unleashed this thing by accident, and but now we have a bunch of people from different walks of life in the world reacting to this and trying to make sense of what's going on. And that's the genius of it. We don't have a single thing from America, so we don't get that point of view. Instead, we have a perspective from Kubal, we have a perspective from Mexico City, and we have a perspective from Japan. 3 completely different types of characters, 3 completely different mindsets on how they're dealing with this, and that's where it becomes so well done. In our current pandemic, there are a lot of different thoughts and emotions and different issues that have come up, and we're watching them play out in the news all the time. And this is the same type of thing that we see going on here. We're seeing fears being laid out. We're seeing, uncertainty. We're seeing, religious questions come out of this. We're seeing the angst of being upset, being interrupted inside of this. And all done through 3 different perspectives from 3 different parts of the world, without seeing a single zombie, and without actually seeing how the whole thing began. And really, the writing inside of this is so intelligent, it's so well done, and really puts you into all these different areas. And it's an awesome read. I can't praise it enough. The writing by Percy is masterful. Like I said, it's very, very intelligent, but it's also heartfelt. You can definitely see I just got this feeling he poured a lot of himself into it. He really looked at what he would be feeling from these different characters, and he really brought that out, because I was right there with all 3 of them. The art definitely complements the book very nicely. I would say that, it's nothing to write home about, but I think as a vehicle, the artwork really keeps the pace going so well. So I definitely would give it a high grade for that. But the star of this book, I'm going to say, is Lee Lowridge, the colorist. He uses 3 different color palettes for these different parts of the world, and it really brings out tone, it really brings out emotion, and really brings out the actual nuance and feeling of those different areas of the world. All of this put together makes a masterful first read, and without having really any action. There's some things in the background going on that you can see, but it really revolves around how these people are trying to make sense and deal with this huge thing that's going on inside of the world, and it gives you a global perspective. So well done. Definitely my pick of the week. Definitely one that you should pick up if you haven't picked up. Love this book, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more come out of this company, AWA Upshot. Definitely be checking out more of their stuff. But that's my pick of the week, folks. Year Zero, AWA Upshot. Good stuff. So that's it. Those are my reviews, folks. And before we end the show, I like to show you my panel of the week. This week's panel of the week comes from Deceased Unkillables issue number 3. And you might think I might have been going for one of the Solomon Grundy pages because that stuff was glorious. But the panel that really got me was the zombie-ized Wonder Woman when she arrives, boom, onto the scene. And you see her on this page, and then you read the caption, "Superpowered death had come for us." I completely geeked out. If you can make me geek out or get sweaty, as John Schnepp used to say, you got me. And so that was my panel of the week. There it is in its full glory. Hope you enjoyed that. Deceased Unkillables number 3. Can't speak highly of it enough. I could have flipped a coin for my pick of the week. Year Zero, though, was really the one that won out. But there you go. Panel of the week, folks. That's pretty much the show. I know I mentioned last week that I would be reviewing some of my back issue books. I think because of the length of this video, I'm going to go ahead and put that in a whole separate video, and I'll drop that sometime this week. And I'm really planning on focusing on Jonathan Hickman's run of Fantastic Four and the Future Foundation, because that incorporates that whole run. And then I want to review the first 6 issues of Oblivion Song. And then the last thing I want to review is one of my favorite books, not just of last year, but of all time, Canto. If you haven't read Canto, it's amazing. I'll give you my thoughts and my views on it, and I'll completely review that. But look for that this week. I hope you'll join me for that. Really appreciate you guys and all the support that you've given me. I know I did my 1,000 subscriber giveaway early because it had been drugged out, but as of this morning, I am sitting at about almost 920, so I'm about 80 more and I'm there, folks. And but again, that comes from you. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate all the support that you've given me. Don't forget this Thursday night, folks, Battle Draft 2020, The Avengers. We need your help. We need you to be there because it'll be your votes that'll bring whoever the winner is of the battle draft, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It'll be a live stream, my channel, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and really looking forward to just hanging out with my friends and talking comic books in a way that makes it just that much more fun. So that's the show, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. It's so good being back. New Comic Book Day is back, and we'll be back at the normal time next week. Of course, you're seeing this drop on Monday, and normally I drop this on Saturday. I wasn't feeling too well this week. I was actually sick from Thursday through Friday night, and I was pretty much recouping most of the day on Saturday. Feeling great now. Glad to be back in the saddle. But we'll return to our regularly scheduled programming next Saturday morning from right here at the Refuge Coffee House. Looking forward to seeing you folks. Remember, always support your local comic shop, and Excelsior. Have a great one, folks.
Whether Logan's claws could pierce Steve Rogers'